I'm going to see if I can get my screen up for you guys. So since I'm talking, you can see. Hi. Fantastic. So our theme, as I said, for 2023 is living out loud. And this month's focus is the power of vulnerability. And I can't believe we're already on the last Sunday of April. But today's message is vulnerability, power, and possibility. And it'll be given by our guest speaker, Reverend Lauren Martin. So happy to have her back. So we're glad you joined us today. Please feel free to add to the chat or in the comments any prayer requests or celebrations that you would like to have included later in the service when we provide our community's spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. We invite you to get comfortable and relax into this moment as we officially begin our service with this video. But we're trying to jump into meditation a little soon. So we're going to pause for a moment.
I put it in the wrong order then. You need the other video? Hold on one second.
That's okay.
This is what happens when you let the newbie do things.
We're just happy to have your assistance.
Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, light, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible, everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is.
And so,
please join us.
And so it is. So as you know, we're going to have our guest speaker today, Reverend Lauren Martin, and she will be guiding us in today's meditation.
Let's just take a deep breath. Settle into this space together that we have created. wash over you that feeling of peace and willingness to expand. As you continue to breathe deeply, visualize a warm, bright light washing over you, starting at your head, moving down your shoulders, your back, down your legs, through your feet, planting you in the ground. Feel that warmth, relaxing and opening up any tension that's in your body right now. Allow yourself to feel the relaxation. Feel the community around you. Feel the love. Keep breathing deeply. Breathe that light into anywhere that might be tense, that might feel stuck. I need a little love right now. So you can be as comfortable as possible. Really feel in the comfort, being supported, divinely held and guided as you continue to breathe through each light breath. Breathe in all the good air. Breathe out everything that happened this week that you no longer need to hold on to. As you feel this lovely light relaxing all your muscles, bringing you a sense of peace and calm. Breathe in the gratitude for this new day, for this beautiful community, for the amazing gifts that we get in each moment, with each breath of every day. Knowing in each part of you there is comfort, safety, security, warmth, support, and love. And it's always there for you to tap into. Breathe in deep and to feel and appreciate. Knowing that anytime you need to feel that light, you can visualize it bathing you, relaxing you, and giving you peace. So feel yourself in your chair, feel yourself in this room, and when it feels good, Open your eyes and rejoin the room.
Hello, everyone. Renee, you're still muted, but I'm guessing that you were
I said, yeah, I
making.
just did your intro. And I was also trying to see if we could make sure that we see our beautiful Reverend Lauren during our service after we get our musical contribution from you, Leah. Perfect. Thank you, Reverend Lauren. All right, Leah, take it away.
Thank you. The song that I'd like to share now is written by Melanie Demore. I'm not sure that we've shared it together yet, but the refrain, I would love it when you are ready and it feels familiar, if you would sing along. Say yes, say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. Say yes, say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. Say yes, say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. Hold your head up and say yes. Keep your heart wide open and say yes. Seek the light and let it shine. All right, all right, all right. Say yes. Say all right. Say yes. All right. Say yes. Say yes, say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. Keep your mind straight and say yes. Don't hesitate and say yes. Hold the line, we're right on time, all right, all right, all right, say yes. Say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. You want to sing it with me? Say yes, say all right, say yes, all right, say yes. One more time, yeah. Say yes. Let's hear it. All right.
Say all right. Say yes. All right. Say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Leah. Now we are ready and primed for our message from Reverend Lauren. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me back here to speak with you today about the power of possibility, the power of vulnerability, looking at power and possibility. When I was thinking about what I could say about vulnerability, I realized I didn't feel like I had a firm grasp on what it was. So I decided to consult my good friend Google for a definition. I was a bit shocked by the result. According to Google, vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Yikes! It's no wonder people aren't comfortable being vulnerable. Yet, I couldn't believe that we would dedicate a whole month to encouraging people to open up themselves to harm, so I decided to try again and see if my friend Google could redeem itself. I decided to change my search term to spiritual vulnerability, and was able to breathe a sigh of relief. One result states vulnerability is being willing to open up without resistance or shyness and face the world. Add to that what Brene Brown said, that vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change, and we have something positive to work with. Now, I could see why we would want to spend 5 weeks talking about vulnerability if it means we open up and share ourselves in ways that encourage authenticity and healing. It is all about becoming raw so we can be truly real. For me, vulnerability has to start with oneself. And this can be one of the most difficult journeys to take. Yet, how can we be open and vulnerable with others if we aren't willing to be that way with ourselves first? For many of us, we don't want to be vulnerable with ourselves because we have a very vocal inner critic that makes us feel like we're under attack. Many of us are incredibly judgmental of ourselves and our past, and that just gives fuel to that critic in such a way that self-reflection becomes incredibly painful. Yet I will argue it's so important that I will give you a simplified example of one of my stories my critic likes to use against me. If you would have told me a couple of years ago that I'd be standing in front of my computer on camera, speaking to an audience on the other side of the country on a live Zoom, which later will be available on YouTube, I would have laughed loudly and quickly changed the topic. And might have ran away too. One of my biggest fears most of my life was speaking in public, which is probably at least equal to my fear of being on camera. Talk about being vulnerable. The camera sees everything. Plus, add to that the old saying that the camera adds 10 pounds, and I internally squeak, but I'm already fat. I'm going to look like a literal elephant. See what I mean by a mean inner critic that specializes in pouring vinegar in our wounds? But let's take a minute and get truly vulnerable about this and look at what's beneath that fear. On the surface of my fear of speaking in public started with a fear that I had nothing to say and that I would make a mistake and be humiliated. Nobody wants to hear me speak with my voice the way it is. But to be truly vulnerable, I need to look at what's beneath that because that's not deep enough. Beneath that is the idea that if I don't look like a supermodel, then who will want to look at me or trust what I have to say is valuable and valid? Once again, I need to go a little bit deeper and ask myself what's beneath that. Beneath that is the core belief that I'm not worthy. Ouch. That one stings a bit. But if you're playing along with the home game, then this is when you know you're winning the vulnerability game. When you get that ping of discomfort or pain, you know that you're getting to the core of the thing that may not be what you want to admit about yourself. This is when you start to see what needs to be healed by revealing the truth you know in your soul. By being vulnerable with ourselves, we get two huge benefits. We get to know ourselves more completely, including all the dark, icky, shadowy places we try to avoid. And we get to heal and change what we don't like and grow more in alignment with who we're meant to be. There are two sets of stories that intertwine and interact in determining who we are and how we show up in the world. The truth of our soul and the often less truthful tales of our mind. Our minds are amazingly protective of us. They create these worlds we live in that help us to process what's going on around us and help us to survive no matter what have happened to us in the past. In order to do this, sometimes our minds lie to us. It leads us to believe what we've been told or have experienced is actually true, even if it doesn't match the truth our soul knows. For a lot of us, these stories are taught to us by family or teachers or media, and then retold to us by our inner critic who has never moved past the basic need of survival. Sometimes, to keep us safe, our critic will lie to us and convince us that we aren't enough, so we don't even try. This happens because the critic takes our fears as valid and proof of impending doom, even if that fear is false or irrational. I'm in no danger of speaking in public at all, yet the fear exists. For me, my soul's purpose of becoming a minister and helping people move through trauma to remember their true self can't be achieved if I let myself believe the lies of my critic and stay quiet and hide. Yet, by being vulnerable with ourselves, we can move past these lies and begin to find our purpose and find and pursue our purposes. Sorry about that. Many of us have been through trauma in our lives. And I'm being honest, healing trauma is hard, yet it's extremely empowering. I firmly believe that we heal trauma by remembering who we are, which requires being vulnerable with ourselves and tapping into the truth within our souls. No matter what happens in our external world or our inner mind, the part of us that is permanent, has never been harmed by what is going on in the world, is always present at the core of our being. Our souls know who we are without a shadow of a doubt. When we've experienced abuse, felt like a victim, or thought things were unfairly happening to us, it can be easy to forget who we are. We only need to allow ourselves to become vulnerable with ourselves again and tap back into our soul. If I look at the feeling of unworthiness I had that kept me from wanting to speak in public from the perspective of my soul, I can start to see the lies more clearly. The soul doesn't buy into these lies, the inner critic does. The soul knows my heart, and that the message I want to share is that of hope and healing, and is never intended to hurt anyone. Each of us has a soul-driven purpose. We're born at this time for a reason. Let's think of all the people in the world as individual puzzle pieces. We're all different shapes and sizes, some with sharp edges, some with rounded edges, that all have a specific spot in the puzzle. Now think back to a time when you were younger and you tried for the first time to put together that 1,000-piece puzzle with all the little tiny pieces, and you got just about done and you realized you were missing a piece. There is an obvious hole in that puzzle that fills you with disappointment because you were so close to completing the whole thing. The puzzle isn't complete without that piece, nor would the world's puzzle be complete if you didn't exist. There have been a lot of people lately who have felt lost or like they didn't matter, yet we know we're all an important part of this puzzle. The truth is, we're all innately worthy. When we have spent much time in trauma, we are not only lose ourself and our sense of who we are, but the critic believes the lies that keep us safe. And if we keep believing into those lies and keep believing the critic and believe in our unworthiness, then we don't fight back and we get hurt. Yet in order to feel powerful again, we need to tap into that soul's truth again and remember who we are and believe we are worthy, which I can attest is easier said than done. And when we feel safe in our feelings of worthiness, then we can also be vulnerable with others and foster healthier, happier relationships. When we understand what it feels like to dance with our pain, we're more empathetic to others who are trying to do the same. This doesn't mean being vulnerable with others is easy. Sometimes we can get hurt if we trust someone who isn't healing themselves. I don't believe most people intend to attack or harm someone who's being vulnerable with them, yet there's an old adage that states the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions. We all want to be there for people who care about, yet many of us have a strong fix-it or caretaker mentality that may lead us to say things we think are helpful that actually feel hurtful to the recipient. We may be trying to help, but somebody sometimes might think that someone needs to hear certain things, but it's the last thing that they want to hear or that they're ready to hear. Recently, it was suggested to me that when I was being very vulnerable about my story, that all my training to be a minister should have given me the tools I needed to heal my negative story. So it should no longer exist. I should be completely healed. Well, this may be true. I'm human, and as such, I'm still a work in progress like we all are. What that person didn't know is that I'm approaching this story at a different level than before. I'm working on this story at a deeper level, and because of that, I felt even more vulnerable talking about it than I might have before. She was trying to be helpful and reminding me I had the tools to heal. Yet in my vulnerability, I heard this as an attack on me and all the work I had done. I heard I was unworthy of the title of minister. This made me want to shut down and not share any more about myself. But I knew this was the wrong answer. I would only be blocking my own healing. Instead, I can be more mindful of who I choose to be that vulnerable with in the future and realize that people are doing the best with what they have. She didn't have my whole story or know how I needed to be supported in that moment. So she was helping the best way she knew how. To try to avoid feelings like this, a few of my friends and I have a phrase we use with each other to ensure we show up in the way that is the most supportive for each other. If you call me and need to talk, I may ask you if you need to vent or do you want advice? Some of us are external processors, meaning we need to hear out loud what is going on in our minds to make sense of it. Sometimes we need to be vulnerable to understand ourselves better and just need a safe space to process. A person's true vulnerability is a gift. If someone trusts you enough to be vulnerable with you, that's a huge honor. We are being trusted with a rare glimpse into all that makes another flawed being stunningly beautiful in its humanity. We are allowing space for healing as we watch another reveal their true selves. This means understanding how that person feels supported and remembering the importance of confidentiality and compassion. We get to be a space for these people to explore their inner selves if we are willing. We get to help others remember that we all deserve to take up space, to be supported when we need it, to be ourselves exactly how we are in each moment, no matter what emotions or fears we may be swimming in. When a person is in those feelings, they may need to just hear, "I'm sorry you're going through that." On the other hand, they may need help to find a solution. And sometimes they may just need a reminder of how fabulous they are, but it should be their choice what they kind of support they get. Now, this can be hard because sometimes when we are most vulnerable, we aren't ready to hear the truth of our magnificence. So we may just need to be validated and heard. Here's the thing though, by being vulnerable and showing your authentic self, the shadows, the light, the bumps, the bruises, the complete and total self with another, we allow others to be authentic and vulnerable with us too. You are paving a path for the world to heal and be real. Mark Nepo says the sweetness of life comes to us when the very humanness we regret and try to hide, our seeming flaws and shameful secrets, are worked by time and nature into a honey of their own. By sharing these things with others, we remove the shame out of them. We may even realize that parts of us that we've been hiding or regretting are the exact things that make us extraordinary. By embracing those things we don't like, we become more and more authentically ourselves. We learn and expand and grow in ways that can never be imagined. The pain of our stories become a sweet gift that reveals to us our true selves and the people we trust enough to share with it. So many times we don't tell our story for fear that they are shameful or they may make somebody else uncomfortable. We may choose instead to lock them away and let them erode us from the inside, tearing us apart slowly as we believe more and more of the critical lies of our mind. Yet if we start to share these things with people we love and trust, we can learn we aren't alone. Vulnerability requires trust both in yourself and the person you're vulnerable with. When we have faced trauma, it can be hard to know who to trust. It is scary. It feels like we're asking someone to hurt us again. Yet sometimes the thing we need the most to heal and be real are the hardest to do. To have faith and trust another person may have turned out badly in the past for us, yet we have to try again until we can find our people. Recently, I hosted a lean-in circle at my job for the Women's Employee Resource Group. A lean-in circle creates a space to encourage networking and community in a company that's about 85% remote workers. This was our introductory meeting where I asked people to pick a random number that would reveal an icebreaker question for us to discuss. We got some doozies. And at the end of the meeting, we were all surprised that each of us had been through very similar experiences and traumas. This was a group of random people, some I knew, some I didn't, who were somehow drawn to be part of a group entitled Dare to be Authentic out of 45 available group options they could have chosen from. This was an amazing example of how the universe puts people together who need each other. These ladies weren't really sure why they joined, but by the end of our meeting, they were happy they did because suddenly they didn't feel so alone. This is the power of vulnerability. It connects us and allows us to heal by remembering we are all one and we don't have to hide our pain or our trauma. There are people just like us who care and see us. With each sharing, we got deeper and deeper, and some people even said they were sharing things that they don't normally even share with their family and friends. It was amazing to see people open up about their experiences, their pain, their wounds in a corporate environment where it's normally frowned on. This is how we become empowered and empower each other. This is how vulnerability connects us and heals us all. And this is how people who were victims become strong creative beings once again. I love this quote by Amy Poehler. It is very hard to have ideas. It's very hard to put yourself out there. It is very hard to be vulnerable. But those people who do that are the dreamers, the thinkers, and the creators. They are the magic people of the world. These magic people are so needed right now. The whole world needs healing, and that starts with the brave, willing, caring, compassionate people being strong enough to step forward and share their ideas and stories. For so many of us, sharing our ideas and beliefs can seem really scary. It takes a great vulnerability to share our creativity with others, be it your art, your stories, your ideas for how to improve something, or even to speak up in a meeting and give an idea of how to better a project that you're working on at work. Yet the world really needs all these possibilities that can be created from the people who haven't opened up in the past. The world needs new voices, people willing to be vulnerable even when they're uncertain or scared. We need our creative thinkers to speak up and help us heal all the hurt we see every day. It all starts with knowing who we are at such a fundamental and basic level that we can't be swayed by any criticism or judgments from the truth that makes us authentically ourselves. It is hard for me to stand in front of this camera and speak to you today. Yet I now actively choose to let my soul guide me through the fear instead of letting my inner critic help me hide. This also means I'm less likely to have a panic attack and lock myself out of the building right before I'm about to give a speech, like I did the first time I had to stand on a platform and give a talk in my Minister as a Speaker 1 class. That was horrible. This means I am willing to accept that I can be creative and vulnerable with perfect strangers, because I hope this will give them the strength to be vulnerable too. I have a dream for a world where asking someone how they are doing is no longer a polite greeting, but an actual invitation to open up and share about your day. Years ago, when I worked in sales, we were told that no one could ask clients how they were, except for me, because I'm the only one who asked and really cared. I would stop and listen and let people talk about their day, what's going on in their life. Imagine if everyone made this simple change. If we actually cared about each other, even strangers, enough to let them be vulnerable with us. I've heard a few people comment on how people I don't know or only interact with at a brief time, the checkout people at the grocery store or somebody I meet in an elevator, will tell me a seemingly private story of something intense going on in their life. Now, I know talking to strangers isn't comfortable for most of us to start with. So why don't we start with people we care about? When your husband comes home or your friend calls, ask them how they're doing, but actually listen. Use that as a way to open a deeper conversation, not just as a pleasantry. Imagine if the world was filled with people who cared so deeply about humanity in general that we want people to show up just as they are and accept them, shadows and all. We might find that we create a world of authenticity and kindness. We may be able to feel people and the world healing as they feel more safe in being vulnerable. And we may find safety and peace as people take back their stories and their power by not hiding what made them who they are today. I know I might be putting a bit much into this one little change, but imagine the possibilities. Find the people you can trust and be yourself. Be messy, be vulnerable, be authentic. Then expand your circle and see how the world shifts around you. This is what's meant to treat by treating others how you want to be treated. This is how we love each other, and this is how the world heals. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into prayer. We'll take a deep breath and breathe into this space, into this time, into this knowing, this togetherness, that we are in the presence of the divine and God is all there is. In each of us, in each breath, in each thought, in each blade of grass, in each mountain, it is all God. It is all good. knowing that God is all there is. I know that God is part of who I am and part of every single person listening to this. And I know for all of us that we breathe in this supportive air. We know that as we feel, as we expand, as we grow and explore the vulnerability of ourselves and others, and are the support for others and get the support from others and are willing to accept the support from others, that we reap the benefits of the peace and the love and the growth and the healing, knowing that together we can make a change by just opening up ourselves, to others, and being there for each other. To see the God in each other, to see the light in each other, to see the shadows in each other and love anyway. It is such a blessing and such a gift that we are given the ability to be vulnerable and to understand things at such a deeper level. Knowing that in this moment, we are supported, we are in an abundant universe of love and grace and possibility. We are so grateful for these possibilities, for this strength and power that comes from being vulnerable and being open and being willing and being the support we seek and need. And so I release these words into the law, knowing they are true, they are done, they are perfect. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Minister Martin, for that very insightful and empowering message. I'm gonna go to Leah now for our next musical selection. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you, Reverend Lauren. You surprised me. I did not expect a talk on being vulnerable with ourselves, but you also echoed a lot of, I guess, experiences that all of us have in that critic voice and learning first to be gentle and vulnerable with ourselves and then taking that into the world. This is a song that I've sung with C.S.L. Leesburg a number of times, so perhaps it'll be instantly familiar and we'll all be singing together from the beginning, but that's my favorite thing, you know that. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves won't push you around. You got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. We're gonna keep our hearts wide open, though the waves want to push us around. We've got to keep our hearts wide open till our faith brings us back to solid ground. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Keep your heart open. Keep your heart open. keep your heart open.
Thank you, Leah. Beautiful as always. So now it is time for us to bless the donations that are shared today. One screen back.
Oh, I think it was.
At CSL Leesburg, we believe in the law of circulation, so we are a tithing community. The donations shared with our center bless everyone, those who give and those who receive. Your donation helps our center, our CSL home organization, as well as other organizations that support our vision of helping to create a world that works for everyone. We're always looking for suggestions of organizations that we should consider. So go to our website and click Give. Look at your screen. There are many ways to give. If you go to the website, you'll see those ways. It's easy to find a way that works for you. This website is cslleesburg.org. And click the donate button. We thank you for your support. No matter how you're giving, if you could just take that gift, physically or mentally, place it over your heart, and join us in our affirmation of oneness. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. That's awesome. I love that every time we do that, every Sunday. So if we go to the next screen, so we have new classes coming up. And there are ways to sign up for that class. Yes, so first class, you need a prerequisite. It's the historical foundations. It's 10 weeks long and it starts May 22nd. It will be Monday nights, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. over Zoom, Eastern Standard Time. And a sign up will be coming online, so look out for it on the website. The second class is still to be determined exactly when it will start, but you don't need a prerequisite, and it's change your thinking, change your life. I've done this class in the past and it's fantastic. I really, really recommend you do it if you haven't. So we need to figure out exactly when it's going to happen. That's part of why it's TBD, but it's going to be possibly on a Thursday or Sunday after service. So those are two classes coming up for 2023. Is the first classes that we're having, except for the one that we had. We had that one right after service that Charlene did, which was awesome. But hopefully you sign up, and that would be fantastic. And now, of course, you guys know every Monday every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we have our dream study. We'll be having that again this week. So please join us Tuesday at 9 a.m. with our wonderful Charlene Banks, who we don't have today, but we'll have her on Tuesday. Just fantastic. Now for our closing affirmation. You guys, well, we don't have Tamara with us, but if you'd like to unmute, please do. It's nice to have some company as we do our closing affirmations. I am love.
I am love.
You are love.
You are love.
I love.
Yes. And it's all love.
It's
all love.
It's all love.
It's all love. Yes. Thank you. We have our we share our pearls. If you're watching on Facebook, you can join us over here in Zoomland, and we will discuss and share and reflect on our really great message that we got from Reverend Lauren Martin. So come on over. And if you can't, that's okay. Have a fantastic week ahead.